Please take your seat. We will continue. We don't want to run out of schedule. We have a super interesting speaker, so I was actually very happy that I would be able to moderate your talk because I thought it was very interesting. I'll be going to South Africa myself in December, so I can't wait what you have to say. So this is Finn. He started off very young. He was still a student when he founded his first startup, SEON, which was universal remote control, which unfortunately didn't work out just exactly the way he planned. But anyways, you know, you don't let yourself get discouraged. And he founded his new startup, which is looking to improve security in South Africa. And the talk, or the topic of his talk, is what if there was no one to call, how I ended up building a digital 110 in South Africa. So thank you so much, Finn. Warm applause and your 12 minutes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Working? Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And I would like to tell you guys a little story today. That story will lead us to Cape Town, South Africa. Cape Town is one of the most vibrant, fastest growing cities in the world, but also one of the most dangerous. But the story begins in Glückstadt, which is not one of the most vibrant cities in the world.
But looks beautiful, come on.
And is very safe. Glückstadt is the town I grew up in, and the connection between the two actually starts with sweet 15-year-old me, who is dying to get out of that town. And at that time, everyone was headed to the US or to Australia to study abroad. But well, I want to get out of here, but I want to do something different. So why not go to Africa? And that's me in my South African school uniform. I lived in Cape Town for a year. And that's also where my connection to the security landscape comes from. Experiencing insecurity, physical insecurity firsthand, is something we're not really used to over here. But when I got back, as you correctly said, I ended up in a different industry. So meanwhile, my parents had all these different remote controls and were treating me as 24/7 tech support. And I said, well, screw it, let's build it. And I built a product to address that, well, need. And that was my, well, starting point for the entrepreneurial roller coaster. And you all know, once you are on the roller coaster, it does go up and down and all about. And particularly starting in hardware was quite interesting, because all of a sudden, I was in a situation where I had to manufacture things. So, well, head to China and work it out there. And then once we were finally up and running in mass production, you also had to get the physical good over to customers. So you had to get it into retail. With every single step along the line, with every obstacle and every hurdle, I always focused on overcoming that particular obstacle. Doesn't matter if you need a larger factory, if you need more stores, or if you need more funding. I was working on that. And then 2 years ago, I crashed it. Because I didn't stop at any point and reconsider why I was doing it. I was only ever focusing on what and how. So before I turned 21, I burned approximately 3 million euros in capital and crashed my first company, which was an experience. One I'm grateful for, but not happy about. And that led me to a very important question. What do I get up for in the morning? Every year has 365 days. What do I do with them? What is my purpose out there? What is my mission out here? Do I want to go into corporate? Should I study and actually learn something proper? Or should I go into startups all over again? Well, I was spending quite some time to reflect on that. And what I learned about myself is that I love independence. I love the freedom that comes around with entrepreneurship. So it was clear for me that I want to try it again, if not just to prove it for myself. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go into a completely different industry. And I wanted to do something with impact. That was very important for me. I did not want my sales pitch or basically the mission I spend all my days with to just be advocating for people to use 5 remote controls less. That's not changing the world. And that brings us now back to South Africa and back to a very real problem. Now we're moving on from the how I ended up part to the security part. 1 billion people on this planet do not have access to proper security or policing. It's over 1 billion people, and every second a rape occurs on this planet. And this is absolutely unacceptable. Looking at it on a global scale, what is quite a telling denominator for the problem is the so-called Gini index, and that's what you're seeing there on the screen. The Gini index measures income inequality. And South Africa is one of the most unequal societies on earth. You can go from a slum with people living in shacks to Beverly Hills-style mansions within 15 minutes. And that is what's causing crime. And crime, then again, is what's hindering an entire society from uplifting itself and growing and prospering. So, back to where it all began. About a year ago, I moved out of my apartment in Hamburg and I moved to Cape Town, yet again. And what we're doing there is we are connecting the security and the help that's already out there. Just in the South African context, there's over 400,000 private security guards, which is twice as many as police and military combined, but also over 7,000 individual companies. I mean, speak about fragmentation. That one is massive. You would literally have a different security company in each and every district of town, and sometimes just for a couple of city blocks. And how do you contact them? You've got a contract with one maybe, but now you're at work or you're bringing your children to school, you can't reach them. So what we did is we're enabling people to call them, to call that help. So what you're seeing there is a teeny tiny metal clip that you can just wear, and the moment you click on that, it will dispatch help. What we've built is an emergency management platform, but in layman's terms, it means that when you need help most, we can get you help within an average time of 3.5 minutes, 10 times faster than the national police average. And what we did, so what we did is we brought all these different players together. We're talking to local guards, we're talking to security companies, we're working with the police forces in order to make them join forces, really. There is enough help out there, but without leveraging that, without connecting people, there can be a rape, and there can be a guard or policeman 300 meters down the road, and they never ever learn about one another, or worse, wouldn't respond because they're not contracted. If only people were working together properly, those numbers that you've just seen would be way different. And that's what we're working on. So the little clip that you see here, that's what it looks like when you wear it, is essentially a small IoT wearable. It connects onto the platform, and that will send your GPS coordinates as well as your user information over to our cloud. And at the moment, we've got hundreds of guards that are on duty right now, patrolling the streets. We are tracking those people. And once your alarm enters the system, it will automatically dispatch the best available responder without any potential for human error as well. And that guard will get your picture, your location, and information right there on his phone. And digitalizing that One of the most important things for us. Now, it's the first time that many of these guards even have a smartphone. The first time they are connected. And it goes way beyond just commercializing a product here. We've had instances whereby they use the WhatsApp on their phones to share pictures of criminals. And a guard from a different company on the other side of town saw that same guy as he was trying to rob a lady and arrested him before anything worse was able to happen. And it's really just sharing information. I mean, Nokia once coined the term connecting people. This is it in a different way. And make no mistake, what we do here, we're connecting two complete strangers in a situation of distress. This is bound to go wrong at one point. But every single morning, you can now get up and know what we're working on is making people safer. And that's really motivating. But it doesn't end there. Safety is a basic human need and right. And providing that is equally important around the world, but how we do it is different. And what we want to do with that platform and the technology and the data that we have is we want to share that with authorities in order to help them better connect themselves with their citizens, with their customers, with their people in need, and essentially get to a point in the future whereby you can even predict crime. If a policeman knew that in one street corner there is a high likelihood of a rape occurring tonight, and he's already there before it happens, we can even prevent things from happening. And while this may sound like science fiction today, at the pace technology is evolving, it will be possible in the near future. And that's really what we're working on. Well, another thing about connecting people is, again, 12 minutes me. And I'm still a bit confused that today I'm in black and you're in red. Usually I'm standing here in red as well. We've launched 12 Minutes Me Cape Town. Wow. And we've been going for about half a year now, every month, fantastic speakers, and a really growing and vibrant startup ecosystem. And I've already heard from a few of you that you were planning to visit town in the near future. Hamburg at Work is coming down October as well for delegation. So if you're in town, hit us up on Meetup, and please join us and learn more about that vibrant part of the world. We've got chilled wine as well. On that note, thank you very much indeed, and looking forward to your questions.
Thank you so much, Finn. That was amazing. Keep it, keep it, keep it. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting points. Yeah, I think there's probably going to be tons of questions. Jasmine, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So thank you. That was really interesting. I was wondering if there is such a big conflict between the different companies having contracts or not and not reacting to an emergency situation because they don't have a contract there. Do you also solve this contract situation?
Yep.
And how?
So we contract them. What we've seen in tests is that if it's a direct relationship between the customer and the company, in some cases it works, in others it doesn't. So how they earn money is by charging monthly fees to homeowners. If you've got a house there, you will want to pay for private security. Now, if an alarm comes in, and let's imagine worst case, you've only got one responder, but 2 alarms, they'll go for the one of the higher customer lifetime value, which is their retained household customer, who will likely rather have a false alarm with those alarm systems. So what we did is we are paying security companies a monthly retainer that is based on their performance as tracked on the platform, and they are legally obliged to respond to our alarms. And if they don't, they'll lose their entire retainer. So if you're using that system, say you are in Cape Town, no matter where you are, we'll make sure we'll get someone to you.
Oh. In the back?
Yeah, I've got a question. Do you exploit such thing as well in the township called Kailicha and everything? Is this something that's happening already there?
Kailicha is a very interesting example. Just for context, Kailicha is a township, as in a slum, just outside of Cape Town, with a population of over 1 million people. It's absolutely massive. And the problem there is that in most cases you won't even have roads on which patrol cars could travel. We can't cover that one yet because we just don't get the security forces in there. But something we're working on is drone security. So just talking actually to engineers earlier this week, for most crime scenarios, especially rape, just drawing attention to the scene often is enough to stop it from going further. And using the same platform, using the same GPS system, if you can get a drone there, and the new ones can get to 2.5 kilometer radius within 90 seconds, put a flashlight on, put a siren on, that might even help in areas like Kalice.
Are you limited to Cape Town, or are you spreading to other towns or countries even already, or are you planning it?
Well, I'm glad we just got it working in Cape Town.
How many users do you have, just to get an idea?
Is that SEON? Did I get that right?
Yeah, it's called SEON, Security on the Go. So we are in Cape Town at the moment, branching out further into the metropolitan area as we speak. And we are going to Johannesburg next and Nairobi next year. However, we are in talks with a global company, security company, that would at least allow us to do emergency evacuations on a global scale.
How many users do you have, just to get an idea, in Cape Town right now?
Right now, you'll be looking at about 1,000.
1,000, okay. Yeah, with the glasses, yeah. Actually,
So that's users with the PIN, or the ones using the PIN?
Yes, customers of ours,
Okay.
yeah. We primarily go through hotels at the moment as our MVP market. So at check-in, especially for those people who are not really sure how to navigate a new city, you'll get one of those, and if you need help, we'll get it to you. And through corporates for their staff, because we see quite a few assaults happening when people commute to work.
okay. With the blue suit first, and then your neighbor. You. Yeah.
Okay.
Your business model is if you wear a pin, I have to pay a monthly fee, or is it a one-time?
No, you pay a monthly fee, and that covers your security cost. So you'll be looking at about 10 euros a month. And it's important for us that we don't charge per incident, because we don't want to disencourage people from triggering the alarm just when they start feeling unsafe. Those extra 30, 40 seconds can make all the difference.
I would have had exactly the same.
Okay.
Very good. There in the back.
I'm wondering how you make work like townships, because when you have a fee like 10 euros, like 160 rand, it's pretty much for township people who make hardly a living. So,
Yeah.
so I have the impression it's more like for wealthy people who have extra security.
That's one of the big dilemmas with it. In those areas where you need it most, you can't get the customers, which would be fine because you can subsidize it from other areas, but you also don't get the security forces. So I was referring to, with reference to the drones earlier. But the important thing is, and I mean, we're talking about society disrupted here, every crime or every perpetrator that we catch, no matter whom he was trying to assault, whether it was a customer of ours or not, everyone that we get out of the system is one person who will not assault the next victim. Because we're talking mostly about repeat offenders here. Most of the crime, for example, in the Cape Town Central Business District, can be pinned down to, if even 100 people, on repeat offense.
How long does this already run, and do you have like any numbers to evaluate how successful you are? 2 seconds.
3,500 successful dispatchments.
Thank you so much. Just finish your sentence, maybe.
Yeah, quite a few dispatchments, and average across the board 3.5 minute response time.
Wow.
10 times faster than the police.
That's very
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, thank you so much, Finn.
Thank you.
That's very great.